The AG pump is designed to move highly corrosive liquids. Like all Wilfley acid pumps, it is performance tested before it leaves the Wilfley factory. Its rear pull-out ANSI B73.1 design makes it easy to disassemble. Simply leave the pump casing in place and pull the power end and the wetted end out from the back of the pump. It is good practice to replace all O-rings and gaskets and check all parts for damage or wear. Make sure that the impeller and expeller are clear and that the shaft rotates freely. The assembly of an AG pump is simple and straightforward. The entire job can be done using just 3 wrenches: a standard 1/2 inch, a 9/16, and a 15/16. It is recommended that you use 3 kinds of lubricants during assembly: conventional grease for most applications, an acid-resistant lubricant for parts that come in contact with corrosive liquids, and anti-seize to prevent seizing when stainless steel fasteners are used with stainless steel parts. The rear bearings must be installed back to back. They are locked in place and seated against the shaft shoulder by a bear hug type lock nut. Please use a new lock nut when you replace the bearing. Slip the clamp ring onto the shaft before installing the front bearing. Install the front bearing. Place the rear bearing housing seal into the housing. The spring in the seal must face the bearings. Slide the rear bearing housing on the shaft assembly. Be careful not to damage the lips of the seal. Secure the clamp ring and evenly tighten the cap screws. Lubricate and install the frame O-ring. Install the front bearing oil seal in the frame. The spring should face into the frame. Insert the shaft assembly into the frame and carefully guide the shaft through the front oil seal. Be careful not to damage the threads or seal lips during assembly. Please be sure the bearing cap is positioned correctly. The word top is cast into the part. Install the drain plug, constant level oil filler or sight glass, and fill plug in the frame. Install the O-ring in the groove inside the governor sleeve. Weight size depends on the pump speed, and the weights must be identical. Lubricate the shaft and sleeve before slipping the governor sleeve assembly over the shaft. Make sure that the O-ring is in place and that the tapered end of the sleeve fits against the bearing. Rotate the governor sleeve so that the weights are horizontal. Lubricate the rotary seal housing seal. Insert it in the rotary seal housing with the spring facing out. Make sure the seal seats squarely in the housing and that the seal lips are not damaged. Place the rotary seal ring on the rotary seal housing. Insert the rotary seal housing through the stationary seal housing and tighten it clockwise to the actuator body. These parts are connected with machine screws for frame 1 pumps. Place the governor spring inside the rotary seal housing, being careful not to damage the rotary seal housing seal. After laying the case plate down, Place the expeller in the case plate cavity with the vanes facing up. Lubricate the expeller hub. Fit the case plate gasket on the case plate. Position the rotary seal housing and the stationary seal ring assemblies into the case plate. Lubricate cap screws with anti-seize and tighten down the stationary seal ring housing. Tighten the bolts alternately across from one another. Check your assembly by pushing down on the actuator body and releasing it. The unit should spring back immediately. Lubricate the expeller O-ring and slide it onto the shaft up to the governor sleeve assembly. Align the slot formed by the 4 positioners on the actuator body to match up with the governor weights. Lubricate the case plate assembly with anti-seize and mount it on the frame, taking care not to damage the O-rings or threads as you slide it over the shaft. Lubricate and install the impeller O-ring on the impeller hub. Screw the shaft clockwise into the impeller rather than spinning the impeller onto the shaft. This keeps the impeller O-ring from crimping. Measure the clearance between the impeller and the case plate. If one side is cocked 20/1000ths of an inch or more from parallel to the face of the case plate, the O-ring may be crimped. Clearance settings are listed in the operating handbook. Insert split plastic shims between the frame and the rear bearing housing to obtain the impeller clearance specified in the operating handbook. Turn the shaft to make sure there's no rubbing. Position the case gasket in the case. Position the case on the frame and attach cap screws or bolts depending on the model you are building. You've assembled your pump, and now you're ready to put it to work. Be sure the pump is filled to the proper level with clean oil. If installation is delayed, please turn the shaft once a week to lubricate the bearings. Store the pump in a dry location away from any vibration to prevent rusting or bearing damage. Place the pump as close to the liquid source as possible so the suction pipe can be short and direct. The pump should be easy to get to so it can be inspected while it's running and easily maintained. Choose a solid foundation. Make sure the intake and discharge pipes are supported separately. Most importantly, always run the pump and motor in the proper direction. Starting the pump backwards or running it backwards may cause serious damage to the internal parts. Check the rotation of the motor by briefly starting it while it is disconnected from the pump assembly. The motor must be rotating in the same direction as shown by the red arrow on the pump case. Make sure the pump, motor, and coupling or belt drives are aligned. This prevents excessive vibration while it's running. See your operating handbook for a checklist of safety precautions. Throughout its history, Wilfley has produced sound, reliable products using the latest technology. Wilfley builds tough pumps. They last. Wilfley stands behind its products with outstanding customer service, including free engineering assistance. The company's toll-free number connects you with professionals who can help you solve your problems. Wilfley has a large inventory of parts to keep your pumps running as they should, and Wilfley welcomes pumps back to the factory for rebuild. Wilfley is your partner for the life of your pump. For nearly 3/4 of a century, Wilfley has been solving the most demanding pumping problems in the world. Wilfley, offering durability, quality, and customer service.